that that's a shark. And I know what a shark looks like because I've seen one up close. And you better do something about this one because I don't intend to go through that hell again.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Let's talk some Jaws 2, shall we? So, you get Jaws, the arguably greatest movie of all time at the time. You know, maybe, right? And they decide a few years later to follow it up with a sequel, even though they destroyed the shark. No way it can possibly be any good, can it? Especially back in those days, when there really weren't too many sequels. This movie should be a dumpster fire, but it's not. I am a big fan of Jaws 2. Like I said, there are many reasons why this movie should not succeed. But for me, in my eyes, it does. Always love this movie. So, let's get right into talking about it, shall we? So Jaws 2 came out in 1978. Stars Roy Scheider and Lorraine Gary. And no Richard Dreyfuss, no Robert Shaw. But it's got Mayor Vaughn back. And a shark is terrorizing Amity. Again. A shark that... You thought that first shark was big. This one's fucking monstrous. And essentially this is Brody trying to tell the people of Amity, you know, the mayor and some other fucker that we're going to talk about in a moment here, that a shark is back and killing people a few years later. And he doesn't have the support system this time of Shaw, Quint, and Hooper, Richard Dreyfuss. You know, he doesn't have them with them. So he goes on, and the shark is basically killing people, like I said, again. And then, you know, you get to the second half of the movie where Brody's two sons, you know, one of them's like 17, the other's, how old is he? Like maybe 7 or 8, something like that. Maybe, if that, maybe 6. He's got to be older than 6. He's probably 7 or 8. And they're out sailing with their friends, and this shark is essentially terrorizing them. Jaws 2 feels like a slasher movie. If you think about it, picture this as a Friday the 13th movie. Okay? The shark is Jason, and the kids sailing are, you know, the kids coming to the camp. It plays out just like that. A couple of years before, Friday the 13th kind of, I don't want to say invented that formula, but knocked the door down to the slasher craze. Halloween came out the same year as Jaws 2. So essentially, if you look at it like a slasher movie, you know, you can either look at that as a positive or a negative. For me, I'm a slasher movie fan, so it's positive. But essentially, the shark is terrorizing these kids. Brody is after the shark, after, you know, not being able to convince anyone that this shark is around. And we're going to talk about Brody here in a minute, so I don't want to get too much into that. But Brody essentially takes the police boat, trying to find the kids. The shark has already killed a few of these kids. And you're trying to save his sons. And there's a cool climax at the end. Is it as good as the Jaws climax? No. But it's still entertaining enough. Brody is basically taking a paddleboard to this big electrical thing that got pulled up from underwater and knocking it. And the shark comes and bites it and doesn't really blow up, but kind of burns up. It is a very, very entertaining movie. Much better than all the other Jaws sequels. Or I guess the other 2 Jaws sequels, and much better than probably 99% of any other shark movie besides its predecessor. So I'm a big fan of Jaws 2. A lot to talk about with this movie, so we're going to jump right into our MVP here. So the MVP of Jaws 2 for me, and this is the easiest answer in the world, it's Chief Brody. I mean, this is Chief Brody's movie. Like I said, he has no support from anyone. Nobody believes him. His wife is doubting him a little bit at first. And he hasn't lost his mind, but he is a little crazier this movie because he went through what he went through in Jaws. And now the same thing is happening again, and nobody's believing him. I actually, getting back to slasher movies, I actually compare him to Dr. Loomis in Halloween 4. You know, there's that scene in Halloween 4, if you're a fan of the Halloween franchise, where Loomis goes into the police station and starts yelling, 6 bodies, that's what I've seen! A filling station in flames. That type of Loomis. Like, Loomis was calm in the first Halloween movie, you know, and then he saw this shit before he went through it again, and this time he's not going to put up with nobody believing him. That's how Brody is in this movie. In addition to being pretty goddamn tan. Roy Scheider's very tan in this movie. And it's fascinating that Brody is so good in this movie because, there's this, there's all that behind the scenes stuff that happened where Roy Scheider did not want to be in this movie at all. But he was contractually obligated. Can't talk today. It's okay. So there's a few scenes where you could tell he just didn't want to be there. But everything else, is gold. And this is, like I said, this is Brody's story. 100% Brody's story. And we're following Brody. And, like I said, getting back to him going a little bit crazy, he shoots up the fucking beach at some, blue gales. We'll talk about that in a minute here. But he is just, he gets fired as chief of police because nobody believes him. Starts drinking again because that's what Brody does. Very good stuff. But essentially, he is on a mission to both save his sons and destroy this shark. And there's a lot of good scenes with that. He is still the outsider a little bit here. Not as much as the first one, because now he's been their chief a few years, but he's still the guy that did not grow up on an island. And he's just a little bit more obsessed with that, with the shark in this movie, and it's really cool to see. So I'm a huge fan of Brody's performance and the Brody character, especially in this movie. I don't want to say he doesn't really have an arc like he had in the first Jaws, but we just kind of get into him in batshit crazy mode where he doesn't give a fuck what anyone thinks. He knows it's a shark. He knows it. It cost him his job. He doesn't give a fuck. And I love that. That's so good. All right. Let's get into our LVP. Our LVP of this movie is this slimy fuck, man. Len Peterson. So Len Peterson's like a businessman coming to Amity. The early scenes of this movie are, he brought a Holiday Inn or some shit to Amity, right? And he's working closely with Brody's wife, Ellen Brody. And he is just an asshole to Brody this whole movie. He's essentially pretty responsible for convincing everyone to fire him. He thinks he's gone off the rocker. But he's also fucking hitting on Brody's wife. Like, essentially right in front of him. Fuck you, Len Peterson. A big fuck you. Yeah, this guy sucks. It's not the actor's fault. The actor did everything possible. The actor did such a good job that I'm saying fuck you, Len Peterson, because it just gets my blood boiling. That's how much I hate this guy. And that's how good of an actor, or good of a job the actor did. But the character, I hate. He's my LVP. All right, let's get to the best scene. Best scene in this movie for me, and there's a lot to choose from. And this is the board meeting scene. Now, you would think that with all these great shark moments, we're going to show a few in a minute here, with all these great shark moments, that'd be an easy best scene. No, not for me. It is this scene, and it's what I played at the beginning of the video. I know it's a shark because I've seen one up close, and you sure as hell better do something about this one, because I'm not going to go through that hell again. Like, that is Brody just telling them, you know what? No, you better do something. I know I'm right. I just love that scene. And we're going to talk about the mayor's part in this scene, or lack thereof, in a few moments here. But for me, I love this. There's so many good shark moments, and I could talk about those, and I am going to. But this scene just sums up this movie, and it sums up Brody, and that's why it's my best scene in this movie. Let's get to worst scene. This is going to sound harsh, but for me, the worst scene is these kids before the shark starts taunting them and before the shark starts hunting them. I just can't get into this shit, man. Like, maybe it's because it's kids in the 70s and I have a hard time relating to that. because I wasn't alive in the 70s. But anything when they're, you got the music playing and they're sailing and, they're goofing around. I get it. It does what it's supposed to do. It's getting to know these kids and things like that. And usually I like stuff like that in movies. But for me, I didn't like it that much in this movie. Maybe because none of these characters really stood out, except for the dude with the curly hair and a couple of the nerds. But I just wasn't a fan of them sailing before the shark came. Now, when the shark starts terrorizing them and they're panicking and there's, their sailboats are so low to the water, the shark just goes right through them. When that starts happening, I'm in. I buy in. But before that, I just didn't buy the kids sailing fun as entertaining to me. Alright, let's get to the scariest scene here. I'm going to play a clip. There's a bunch of good shark moments in here, but for me, the scariest scene is Tina's Joy attack. So there's a boat called Tina's Joy, which Tina's on, and we're going to play this clip here, and I'm going to fast forward through a couple parts, but we're essentially going to talk about it as we're watching it here. So let's go, and like usual, I'm going to have to pause it every 10 seconds or so. It's not very long, and I'll fast forward through some of the duller parts, but this is a real scary scene for me. So, we got Tina and her boyfriend sailing.
You really need a blanket, huh?
Right away, boom, fin. Oh, I love that. Look there's no one around. They're in the middle of the fucking ocean.
Need a blanket.
Look at the size of that fucking shark fin. That is ridiculous. And they're just in this little sailboat, not paying attention. It's coming right at them.
I can get a carpet cleaner. We can see something else.
Boat.
Well.
Alright, pause it for a second so YouTube doesn't not let me post this here. Alright, let's continue.
Here's
Look
your
at
blanket.
that. Look at the size. It's bigger than the boat. That shark is bigger than that little ass boat. Scary. The guy was flying off. Look at that. The boat's flying. That's how much velocity the shark hit it with. It's crazy. We're going to fast forward through a little part here because we don't want to get demonetized. Not demonetized, but we don't want to get this shut down. Okay, so now he's swimming back to the boat. She's looking around to see what happened, and what does she see? Our shark in the distance coming right for them. Look at her face. Her face is what we're feeling here. Oh, fuck.
Eddie, swim! Swim fast! It's a shark, Eddie! Swim!
I love that, the way sharks kill, and it works in movies like this, is you got the fin up, right? And as the shark starts getting an attack mode, the fin slowly disappears. It's haunting shit.
Oh, God, Eddie, swim! Faster, hurry!
The shark's on the other side of the boat. Like, look at this. Like, that is, you heard me say this in my original Jaws review here, but that is something you just can't replicate with CG. You just can't. Like, that is physically in the water. That is tangible. You can touch it.
Swim! Come on, swim!
Love that. You get a feeling of how big the shark is, and it's going about to go right under the boat, which is the direction he is swimming.
Hurry, Eddie, it's a shark! Eddie, hurry! Faster! Come on, swim! Hurry! Hurry, Eddie!
Fucked. This guy's fucked, right? Scarier to be on the boat witnessing this, just knowing the shark's going to be coming back for you, right? Like, you almost rather just be the first one to die here. What are you going to do in that little boat? Like, look at her face there. And then he kind of comes up. We're not gonna play the rest of it, but that is some good shit right there. You get the initial, knocks him off the boat, and the shark, it's almost like it's fucking with him, right? Knocks him off the boat, he flies, boat goes flying, and the shark kind of does a circle around, and then it's like, all right, let's go fucking kill these people. But yeah, that is some good shit. All right, let's talk about the unsung hero of this movie. Unsung hero, if you're new here, is someone I just feel who doesn't get a lot of something or someone who doesn't get a lot of credit. Could be an actor, it could be a character, could be a director, director of cinematography, anything. For me, the unsung hero in this movie is the mayor, Mayor Vaughn. And hear me out on this, because I know the mayor's a hated character, and I half-heartedly defended him in my initial Jaws review. But what I like about this is the mayor believes Brody a little bit here, and he's under all this pressure from that fuck Len Peterson, right? He's under all this pressure from him, and the mayor, there's a couple deleted scenes from this that I wish they would have kept in, and one of them is essentially the mayor telling the board and Len Peterson that Brody's a good man, because he knows what Brody did in the first Jaws. He knows Brody just wants what's best for people, right? And then there's another deleted scene where they all vote whether to fire Brody or not. Everyone votes yes. The mayor says nay. He did not want to fire Brody. And the whole time at the board meeting, they're pressuring the mayor, and his kind of eyes are just down like that, because I think he likes Brody. And I just feel like even though you don't see those deleted scenes, you kind of get a sense of it based on his performance in this movie, the little bit we do see of him. And for me, that's very underrated, because if they went and made him exactly the same as he was in the first movie, he was like, no, the beaches are open, all that shit, it doesn't really give the character an arc. He's just a stereotype. He's just there for plot devices, but he feels like a real person here. And I love the performance from the actor. I can't remember his name offhand. So Mayor Vaughn is my unsung hero. All right, funniest moment. This is kind of an ironic funny moment. And it's Brody shooting the beach up. This scene, it's almost like sad funny. But this is like I was talking about. He is fucking crazy. You got him in the shark tower, right? Nobody wants him in that shark tower. There's all these investors there, and they want Brody down. But he sees in the distance like a darkness in the water coming towards the swimmers. So he starts ringing the bell, get out, get out, get out. And running down like a fucking madman. And then he literally starts shooting in the water. There's hundreds of people all around. He's shooting at the water, and they're like, it's just blue gales, or whatever they say, and I find it funny. Like, although it's sad, it eventually cost him his job, but I just love the moment, and it makes me smile. It's not like a ha funny. It's just like, oh man, he is fucking serious. He has lost his shit this movie, and I am here for it. All right, let's get to the dumbest moment for me. Dumbest moment is, this is gonna be uncontroversial. My dumbest moment is when the shark takes down the helicopter. Now, I will say, from a certain point of view, and me as a child, I liked this scene. I did, and I don't hate it or anything like that. But a chopper basically comes to save these kids, attaches a rope to their sailboats. Chopper comes, and it's about to take off, and the shark attacks the chopper and takes it down, and the propeller's going all nuts. The reason I have this as the dumbest moment is it's a little too far-fetched for me. It's kind of, dare I say it, jumping the shark a little bit as far as believability. And I know we're at believability, right, Nick? You're talking about a shark that's possibly taking revenge on another shark being destroyed, as Brody alludes to, right? But for all intents and purposes, this is just a shark terrorizing the kids in the water. A chopper comes down. Is a shark gonna do that? No. It's fun because it's like, holy fuck, man, and it raises the stakes a little bit, I guess. But for me, it just it's one step too far from almost like Goofy mode in a movie that is, other than the size of the shark, somewhat based in reality. So that's the dumbest moment for me. All right, let's get the best shark moment. There's a lot of them in this. I'm gonna play a clip here in a second. There's a lot of them in this. There's a lot of them when he's attacking the kids and stuff like that. But what I'm choosing is the burnt shark, when the shark gets burned, the water skier. So same thing, I'm going to play a clip here. I'm going to fast forward through some parts and pause a little bit, but let's get right into that. Here we go. Water skier here. So at this point, the shark has only killed the two scuba divers at the beginning of the movie. It's only killed the two scuba divers when they were over by the orca. So some other town stuff has happened between now and then, and we haven't really seen the shark much, if at all. We saw Finn maybe here or there. But now we get this chick water skiing. Boom! Look at that shot right there. Oh, that is good. You got the water skier in the distance, not that far, and a fin just rises. Oh, is that good? And now we're going to fast forward. The shark essentially takes down the water skier. Okay. I'm just fast forwarding this because it's like a 2.5 minute clip, and I don't want to be sitting here pausing for you guys. But the shark is chasing after them, takes down the water skier, and this is in broad daylight, mind you. Then we have, I'm just going to call this lady her mom, circling around to see where she is. Doesn't see her, okay? Doesn't see her, picks up the water ski. She's pretty calm for like how she looks in there like there's going to be a foot in there or something, which is pretty calm so far for if that's her daughter or friend or whatever, you know, not even seeing them waving, you know, waving on the water. Let's continue.
Terry?
He's yelling her name.
Terry?
Ooh, now we're getting real here because this is like our first real close-up from outside of the water besides the scuba diver scene of the shark. Boom. Oh man, just fucking hammers into this boat. Look at it, it's like pushing it over. It's Look at that. That is so good. The shark, it's like a fucking chew toy to this damn shark. Oh my god. She's, you know, this is on the, you had, if you have gasoline on there and you have a shark, you know, yes, you might try to pour it on the shark, but when the boat's rocking, it pours it right on herself. Alright, I'm gonna pause it for a second. She's about to grab the flare gun. Oh my god, she's fucking burning alive. Look at that. Look at that shot of the shark on fire. What an effect. Practical effect. Now you got the shark with the burnt face for the rest of the movie, and then it explodes. So good. So damn good. That's my favorite shark moment. You know, like I said, there's a lot to choose from. Alright, let's rate this bitch. Once again, I'm rating on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm a pretty hard grader. I gave the original Jaws a 9.8 out of 10, which is the highest grade I've ever given a movie. I haven't done many of these, by the way. But, Jaws 2. Like I said earlier at the beginning of this review, I'm a big, big fan of Jaws 2. Is it as good as Jaws? Fuck no. Not even close. There's Jaws, and then there's Jaws 2. But then there's most other shark movies that are way even below the camera here. I love Brody. As I said earlier, the shark looks fantastic. We see more of the shark in this movie. Now, whether that's positive or negative, it's up to interpretation. For me, I'm fine with it, whereas I loved not seeing the shark till the endish of the first movie. Here, you know, the mystery is gone. We know it's a shark again. We saw what it looked like in the first movie, right? The mystery is gone. I was fine with it, and it's expected, right? This is a sequel. You know, every sequel is bigger and badder, you know, than the original or the last one. As we're going to see when we talk about the other Jaws movies, there's a drop-off after this. But I love Jaws 2. I am rating it an 8.4 out of 10, which is an extremely high rating, like I said, for me. I'm just a fan of this movie. There are a lot of parts of it that might be a little slow. You know, a lot of the first half of the movie is, you know, dealing with Brody and the drama of the island and things like that. I'm for that. And I like the batshit crazy ending, you know, with the kids on the sailboats and the shark just terrorizing him like it's a goddamn slasher movie. I'm a big slasher fan, so I love Jaws 2. It gets an 8.4 out of 10 for me. Tell me what you guys would rate it below, or tell me if you were a fan of Jaws 2. Maybe you like it more than the original. That's fine. Maybe you hate it. Maybe you're a fan of Jaws' Revenge. That's fine. I'm kidding. Be a fan of whatever you want to be a fan of. But we'll be talking more about that movie within the next week or so. But thanks for watching, everyone. I will see you guys next time.